Always a favorite here, CRE321. I shot it with an Optimum 350. These are kind of a middle of the road, not real expensive, but not cheap. They do a really good job. Using a 1.8 tip. I'm doing 20% reducer in it to let it flow out a little bit. If you don't, it'll stay chunky, but if you do, most of it'll be smooth and it'll flatten out a little and it'll land better for you. That has nothing to do with that. That's its own thing. That's for the what is it, PR404? That's the 405. So that's for a 2-to-1 2K sandable primer, and it's a high build. But it won't high build the way this stuff will. So a lot of trauma and a lot of work on the trunk. I'm going to try to show you. We got a fairly straight line. Now that's pretty thick, so we can block that. Still a little wet looking. This will have to dry for a few days. Then we should be able to block the orange peel off. Like there's a few places where I put it real thick. You can see that there. Gives you something to block. Here I put a little too much there. It's sort of, that was just me. But you can see most of it has very, very fine peel. And that's going to block out like you wouldn't believe. Now, I wanted to get all the way around the outer edge, make sure everything was stuck really good because I had to do some high building here. That stuff is, in my opinion, one of the better things to use. So we went ahead and did that. We sealed all the edges good. Then I wanted to get the doors. Now I forgot to put my earplugs in those, so I kind of avoided them. I'm just going to run a tap through them real quick after it dries. It doesn't look like there's much in the thread, so we'll be all right there. But normally, and try to remember, put earplugs in there. You squeeze them, roll them, and stick them in there. I forgot, and I was already here, and everything was mixed. And as I explained before, all in here we treated it for rust. You're never going to see that. There's a trim that comes down to here, but we don't want that, you know, rusting in there and then kind of leaking out and staining the paint. This is where we welded. You can see it's a little bit bumpy. We'll block that out. That's where we had the pinholes. I guess the foam of my work stands have got, but that's all right. So we basically just epoxied that just to make sure that it has its best chance. So it was cleaned, sanded, put a little bit of rust treatment on it. I think it was called Rust Fix that we used, and we sanded it off to the metal. So if we missed anything, hopefully we got it, but it's epoxy primed. That should last a really long time. Like we kind of went overboard realistically. So here just to lock everything in. And as you can see, it's fairly smooth. We didn't go real thick here, but we did put 3 coats on. But it's nice enough that we can kind of scuff it, and that's pretty much ready for paint. We did tape that off. The screws were all messed up, and some of them had chrome off, so we're leaving them in. They're already adjusted. That's where these doors go. We're not going to worry about that. The main thing was the bottom. So we redid the seam sealer, and those have all been epoxied. You can see the bottom of the door is a little more orange peely than what I showed you over there. Well, we put a little bit extra on. So basically all the parts that tend to rust and stuff, we blew some up in that air can get out there and stuff. So I mean the doors in this case should dry. And once the car again is all done and everything, we'll put some kind of oil treatment inside. So this door's the same. We hit that inner edge, went all the way around, a little peel down here, but nothing too crazy. That is where you open the door, so we will block that right here. We'll sand that peel off a little bit, but I put a lot on because I really wanted to seal these doors up. You know, unless you're replacing the skin, you can never quite get everything. So you want to treat things and get them as good as you can. You know, unless you've got a gazillion dollars, in which case you'd cut all the skins off, clean them up, buy new ones. Again, 63 Coupe Deville. We couldn't get a trunk for this, so I doubt we could get anything else. So basically what I wanted to do here is the door bottoms and everything that was seam sealed. We wanted to epoxy that so it's locked in really well. And then you might as well kind of just keep going, which is what we did. So the doors have all been epoxied. No, I didn't bother with in there. I'm not too worried about it. It's under a door panel. But we did come up to this line here, so anything that would drip down is going to wind up going right into the door. Again, this is a summertime vehicle, so we're not overly worried about any of that. I mean, there's a bit of surface rust here, there, whatever. We might just take the rust fix. It's like a spray bomb stuff you spray on. It goes on clear, you barely see it, and it'll neutralize all that. We might hit it with that. If a guy wanted to, you could spray paint that with rust paint or whatever, but we're not even going to worry about it, honestly. That's something that if the owner wants that done, he can do that. You know, because again, limit to budgets and whatnot. So yeah, we won't even see those ends. But yeah, we want this to look pretty good and be locked in good. The paint sticks to this really well. Sadly, we do have to scuff it because you've only got a couple days or whatever it is to paint it without sanding it. But I mean, I know we're going to block some areas anyway, so we'll go ahead and sand it. And honestly, when you reduce it down a little bit and basically just use any high quality reducer, you can do 10 and 20%. I think you can do 30. I do between the 10 and the 20 when you're splashing it in the cup, and it does seem to give you a pretty nice a nice look. So we're pretty happy with that. This is really, really nice. Like I say, there's some orange peel, but very little. And basically I turned my needle in when we went to do the flat area. After we went all the way around, we turned the needle in just a little bit, left the pressure right where it was, and we just kind of went over it really, really quickly, back and forth. And when you're shooting this stuff, it doesn't flow out really nice. It kind of spurts. So when you're going across, you'll miss little spots like a tiger stripe. But I mean, we went over it and did about 3 coats, and then we ran it the opposite way. So there's plenty of meat on there that we can block that all out. I did run out, and I had to go mix up like just a little bit more just to finish it off. It ended up being more than I needed, so we were able to kind of recoat the whole thing. So it'll block out nice. It'll look good. Whatever work was previously done, anything we didn't see, like things are locked in such a way that I'm not worried about it at all. The true test will be when we block this. Now it turns dark as it dries, and when you sand it, it's light. And the cool thing with that is all the dark spots kind of show you your lows, so it lets you know how far you can go. We're likely going to take like I don't know what paper we'll use yet. I'll worry about that later. We're going to board that all out, make sure she's smooth. So far we're happy with that. Going to let the air run pretty much till I can touch it. Actually, let's no, still a little bit sticky, but it didn't stick to my fingers, so it's on its way. In an hour or two you can touch that. In a few hours you can handle it. So we'll leave that in there. Now as for the car itself, we are going to tape those off. I left the ones on the doors. I might take these ones off. We're going to epoxy the jambs. Actually, these jambs are in really good shape. I don't think I'm going to bother with that. But what I am going to do, we're going to give this a scuff all the way around. We're going to scuff around the windshield, epoxy that, epoxy these poles because they're buried underneath trim, so we'll protect those. And I like to epoxy prime around all the window stuff. So we'll fire some around here. And again, I'm probably thick is good, but we're going to go with it thin down and do a few coats just because I want it to flow into the body so we don't have to sand it at all. So we're going to be a little more careful with it. We're also going to epoxy a shot from here all the way across here just to seal that up really good because of the holes there. And I notice condensation seems to affect these down here where those just drips in, but here it always leaks out. So we're going to epoxy the hell out of those around the front and back window. And I have to sand it yet and do a bit of work on it. That's a little bit of treatment there. We're going to sand the hell out of all this. We're going to give this a quick sand blast. We're going to epoxy that whole area. Once the trim goes back on, you don't see it, which is why it was white and not pink up in here. And the car originally had this gold color. But we're going to clean that all up, epoxy that in. Once all the trim pieces are run, you don't even see it. So I might not even paint under there. We'll just epoxy that off really good, leave it alone. So what I'll likely do is do it, maybe reduce it only 10% on the first coat, then reduce whatever's left 20% roughly, do a second coat. And what happens is the second coat will actually kind of level it out a little bit. So however that is, it is. And then we'll seam seal in here. And then we'll tape that later and just paint this outer edge. I mean, it's got a trim on it too, so I don't think you even see that. But just, you know, to make sure we'll catch that. Actually, no, I don't have to do that at all. We'll probably tape this off here and we'll epoxy this. And we'll try not to catch, because we don't want to build these up. We're just going to hit the bottom and let it overspray the edge a little bit. That way the trims will fit on nice. If you've ever done these trims and there's a bunch of paint. Now we went ahead, this is just a little bit of etching primer. We took the grinder on a roll lock and we basically just sanded them down to pretty much bare metal, threw a bit of etch primer on them. So that's where we're going to use the epoxy. It's around the windows and around the door openings, and the reason why is just to make everything stick. The rest of the car I'm not too worried about. It's pretty clean. I was thinking of doing this quarter with it just because I know how it blocks, and there's a lot of sanding swirl and whatnot in this. Some of them are deep, but our shape is really nice. I don't want to mess that up, so we're going to mix up enough that we can do this 1/4. And then we'll let that dry overnight. And this quarter's actually done up in a smooth way, so we're happy. It wasn't all smashed. The other side of the car was smashed and hidden under filler, so it saw a lot of work and a lot of trauma. But basically, once we do around the windows and we do that 1/4, we'll let that sit overnight, and then I'll come out the next day and we'll take our 2K high build primer, which uses a 1.4 tip, so we're going to put 3 coats of that on, and we're basically going to do the jambs, the whole car. So the whole car is going to be sealed in a 2K product, and we're going to do the high build, which will give us the opportunity to block the whole entire car. And when that's done, you can basically wash it really well, and you can paint right over that. I'm going to ask my paint guy at the supply shop whether or not he would recommend sealing it. I don't think we have to. But anyway, so that's where we're at. This car is getting close to being done. If it's the first video you're watching, it's going to be a metallic dark red. So not quite burgundy, but on that burgundy side of red. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers.